7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the channel. And I'll tell you what, I am fired up this morning. Yeah. People, I have to tell you, for those of you who have been agreeing with me on a lot of this stuff, you're going to love this video. You're going to love it. On the flip side, for those of you haters who have been throwing barbs and going at us who don't just accept the status quo and are continually looking into things, you're not going to like this video at all. All right? So fasten your seatbelts because you're in for a really rough ride today. Thing is, those of us who are not just accepting that this is like a normal situation and we believe something, very hinky is going on. I watched a video this morning that added just added fuel to the fire of the theory that I've had ever since I saw the video of Lindsay's celebration speech. Now, this video that I saw this morning was from the All America Cartel channel. And let me tell you, it's a whopper. It is really good. It involves a comment that he received from a viewer who lives in the Truckee area, who just happens to know Lindsay and her family as well as Juan, a.k.a. Check It TV. And, of course, as soon as I start recording, my dog has to go slurp water and make noise. He hasn't drank anything all morning. He did the same thing to me yesterday. But anyway. The guy that sent the comment, or made the comment, he and his wife are the ones that are in the Check It TV video. They're the ones that are in the pickup down by the lake. And I'm gonna show you a couple of excerpts. I mean, not really video, but just some statements that were made in that video. And I've linked the video in the description so you can go watch it yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go watch it yourself. And I've also linked Squirrel Girl's video that I watched last night, which is also kind of a whopper, where she shows how the that GoFundMe that was originally supposed to be for a reward, it was later changed. And so I've linked that, and you need to go watch that. It is really, really, really good. Okay, the first part of the message, he says, Juan is Check It TV. He says, Juan is at the lake every time we come, and he bragged talking about he gave her phone to David already. Of course, David's the grandfather. He was talking about how he gave her phone to David already. He said he ran the RNC, whatever that is, I have no idea. He ran the RNC and that he was running for office. Okay. Now he's an AWP contractor? He's crazy. If he didn't see the phone, then how come he knew the exact phone down to the case? All right. The next part says, Lindsay, David, Juan, Verna, and I guess Verna was the gal that was down at the beach with Check It when he was looking for all that stuff. She was the gal that he was with, or was there with him, whatever. He says, Lindsay, David, Juan, Verna all go to a weird church where you wouldn't catch us under any circumstances. You think he changed the videos to KR to honor her? No. It's because everyone here calls her the Neiman girl. Juan told us, I know her parents and her grandfather. Kai. He said Kai, not Kiely. The creep knew her and even said he was at the fight club to referee that night. He says that she didn't go by Rodni. Y'all have been duped, but you want to call us sketchy and wonder why we want nothing to do with their Scientology cult. All right. Now, here's the thing, and this is going to answer a lot of questions. A lot of you probably, there's going to be a lot of comments. Oh, you're just making stuff up. You're doing it. Yeah, whatever. It's just people that just don't want to believe, they don't want to dwell in reality. They want to they're in a little cocoon and don't want to believe that things like this actually go on. But they do. I know firsthand, both as a cop and also being involved in the cult. I know they go on. So shut up. I say that politely. All right, now, here's the deal. If they are all indeed all members of the Church of Scientology, which I don't see the guy saying this unless he knew they were, because he says he knows that they all go there. So, all right, that's like first-hand knowledge there, people. I mean, a statement like that, I just don't have any reason to doubt it. There's no reason to. Why would we even mention it? But if they all are members of that Church of Scientology, that definitely adds an interesting twist to the story. All right? So, like I said, when I was in my early 20s, I was involved in a cult, so I can fully vouch for how it is to be involved in there and try to leave, and all the dirty tactics they employ, how they, ostracize you, shut you out, all that, like I said. I've seen it. So, okay. So if all these people are members of this Church of Scientology, it's really important to understand what they're about so we can really attain a good comprehension of what we're up against. All right, I pulled this from Wikipedia and the definition of Scientology. And it says, the Church of Scientology is a group of interconnected corporate entities and other organizations devoted to the practice, administration, and dissemination of Scientology, which is variously defined as a cult, a business, or a new religious movement. It says, the movement has been the subject of a number of controversies. That's putting it mildly, if you do the research on it. The number of controversies in the Church of Scientology has been described by government inquiries, international parliamentary bodies, scholars, law lords, and numerous superior court judgments as both a dangerous cult and a manipulative, profit-making business. In 1979, several executives of the organization were convicted and imprisoned for multiple offenses by a U.S. federal court. The Church of Scientology itself was convicted of fraud by a French court in 2009, a decision upheld by the Supreme Court of Cassation in 2013. The German government classifies Scientology as an anti-constitutional sect. In France, it's been classified as a dangerous cult. In some countries, it has managed to attain legal recognition as a religion. One of the things I was looking at on YouTube, there's a documentary. It's called Scientology and Cover-Ups. Right? And there's a couple of clips from that video that I've linked to in the description that I think really bring out some things that are really, really important. All right, I'm going to play those now.
There are two main factors involved in these mysterious deaths. One is denial of assistance, which is quite common among Scientologists, and the other is that investigative authorities appear to be helpless and don't get any support from the Scientologists.
Can this be true? Despite many inconsistencies, authorities often stop investigating, giving no comment. The interior designer from Charlottesville, Virginia, is visiting Clearwater for the first time. She wants to see the place where her youngest son Kyle died 6 years ago under suspicious circumstances. She is shocked by the sight of the uniformed Scientologists. Her son Carl Brennan died from a gunshot wound while visiting his father Tom in this house in February 2007. Clearwater police claimed suicide as the cause of death. His father, Tom Brennan, had been living separately from Victoria for quite some time and is a member of the Scientology organization. As usual during investigations against the sect, in this case there are also inconsistencies and questionable coincidence. Until today, the actual event of the crime hasn't been resolved, a fact that his mother cannot accept.
I do not know what happened to my son, and that is where I stand today. I do not know what happened to my son. I do not know who pulled the trigger.
Okay, I don't know about you, but it sure does give me a little bit of insight to things, which not that I didn't already know it, but it just, you know, further cements my theory and probably a lot of yours as well. Because I know that there's been a lot of comments on my videos where you guys have mentioned this type of thing, and so, you know I'm not the only one thinking it, that's for sure. So there's a lot of other perceptive people out there who realize what's going on. All right, there's another article which I've also linked to, and it's called Cover-Ups: Why the Church of Scientology Will Not Report Felonies Committed by Its Members to the Police or Any Government Agency. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's look. I'm gonna show you some quotes from that article. First one says, per the policy of L. Ron Hubbard. Of course, he was, you know, if you know anything about it, he's the founder of all that business. And his policy serves as Scientology scripture. All crimes, including murder, RAPE, child molestation, financial felonies, and every other felony to which a Scientologist confesses will not be shared with the police, the state, the taxing authorities, or any other law enforcement or government agency. This is a damning indictment of the Church of Scientology and its culture of cover-ups, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and fair game. Let that sink in for a minute. There's a gal named Leah Remini. She spent 30 years in Scientology, and then, for whatever reasons, she ended up leaving. And now she goes around speaking about it. One article that I read, which is in this article that I'm linking to, she says, because very early in the brainwashing process, L. Ron Hubbard's technology teaches you that outside sources, i.e. the news, the internet, books, magazines, are all lies and hell-bent on destroying something decent like Scientology. The AMA, the APA, and all governments do not give Scientology its due because they have a vested interest in not healing people and not helping people. And Scientology is in the business of making people better. Well, she's saying that sarcastically, you know. So Scientologists are taught that their safest bet is to get their info from the only true decent people. And those are Scientologists. And if they look on the internet, if they read Time magazine, they will be met with punishment at their expense. And as a Scientologist, you have to confess that you've read outside materials, and that will be met with punishment at your expense. Oh. You know, and that's the first sign of a cult. In fact, the one I was in, where they teach you that everything else outside is a lie, and that, you know, of course, you don't doubt anything. You don't dare doubt it. You don't dare question it. You know, I mean, there's like severe ramifications if you start questioning things, which is what happened to me. I started actually doing my own research, and boy, did they come down on me hard. All right, Remini continues. Excuse me. Says the church doctrine thinks that fields of psychology and psychiatry are a sham. All right, which some of them actually are, I think, but not in the sense that they interpret it. So that they deny mental illness and afflictions. They promote that you can heal your psychosomatic issues with their technology. They will get in the way of people taking medications. They will prevent people from getting the real medical help that they need, and in some cases have caused suicides because of it. Scientology is mentally abusive because we are all taught that we are responsible for everything. She also says every therapy room is equipped with cameras and listening devices as admitted by the church. Do they use it for blackmail? No, they use it to discredit you when you speak out. All right, Remini also says Scientologists are banned from seeking legal justice against another member, even in cases of abuse. Now, the following quotes are from a website called topclassactions.com, which I've also linked in the description. All right, and one gal, she says, I quote, "When I was 16 and working for a senior Scientologist who was in his late 30s, he had sex with a 16-year-old friend of ours, and the church handled it internally. All abuses are dealt within the church. It is an enemy act in the church to prosecute another member." All right, another former member of the Scientology Church, Jennifer S., claims she was assaulted approximately 100 times as a teenager by the Scientology supervisor she was forced to live with. Jennifer says that she moved in with Gabriel Williams, a church supervisor in California, at the age of 16. Over the next 2 years, she claims the man abused her and convinced her that if she went to the police, she would be sent to a psychiatrist and, as a result, be unable to achieve spiritual freedom. Additionally, she claims that he threatened to kill her if she told anyone about the abuse. A third victim who has filed charges against the church and its leader claims that after she left the church due to multiple instances of abuse beginning when she was in kindergarten, wow, that is just disgusting. She was subject to a campaign of harassment and retaliation from the organization. The woman, who has chosen to remain anonymous out of fear of additional harassment, claims that the church has followed and surveilled her, vandalized her property, bullied her with hundreds of spam phone calls, and even cut the brake lines on her vehicle. In addition to her allegations of abuse perpetrated by multiple Scientologists, she also claims that church officials knew of the incidents. However, as it is believed to be a high crime for members of the church to report another Scientologist to law enforcement, she claims that she was punished for coming forward with the accusations. Instead of her abuser being held accountable, she claims that she was sentenced to several months of hard labor by church officials, as well as being reassigned to the Sea Org and separated from her family. Now, the Sea Org, if you want to, look up some of the links, off of that website, they basically had, it was almost like concentration camps. It was like kind of a child trafficking, where they would send them like on these cruise liners and stuff like that, and they would basically, work them like slaves. It was basically slave labor is what it was. Anyway, you can read up on that. There's tons of it. There's tons of it on the internet if you want to read on it. Now here's the thing. Here's my thought. If you know that you're going to be punished by the group or the community, you're going to think twice about doing so just for self-preservation. Think about that for a little bit. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying let it sink in. More recently, alleged victims of Scientology church abuse have encountered difficulties in seeking justice. The third alleged victim, who filed her sexual abuse lawsuit against the Church of Scientology, dropped her claims in June 2020, reports Tampa Bay Times. Okay, keep in mind that this Church of Scientology headquartered in Clearwater, Florida. So this is a Florida-based religion where it originated. All right. According to the news source, the unnamed victim did not drop her claims in stating that her abuse did not occur. Rather, she says that her legal team was unresponsive and she received a disappointing update from the Clearwater Police Department about how the department was investigating her abuse complaints. Doesn't that sound familiar? She told the Tampa Bay Times that the combination of these two factors led her to drop her claims. Okay. So, if you're in this Church of Scientology, why might not someone want to buck the system and come out and talk and rat on somebody or tattle? All right, there's a article that I linked to. It's harshlightnews.com. The truth about Scientology. All right, that'll answer a lot of those questions. One of the things it says leaving Scientology is different than other religions. While there might controversy, I typed that wrong. While there might be controversy within a family if someone leaves the Christian church, they are not forced to stop talking to their loved one. Scientologists are asked to disconnect from the so-called suppressive person, a person who is opposed to Scientology or leaves the church. There's an ostracization, however you pronounce it, man, I can't even think of the word right now. You're ostracized. That takes place when you leave the church. The church that I was a part of, when I left, I was considered now an apostate, and I was to be shunned. Doesn't sound like this is any different. One thing I really find interesting, that all the crimes against another church member are handled internally, and no information is given to the police or any entity outside the church. They have their own system of punishment, whatever that might be. Okay, and understand, I'm not making any accusations. This is just information on what I believe is a very feasible theory. All right, now, I find it very hard to believe that all the people at that party were in this church. I just don't see, if there was actually 200 or 300 kids there, I don't see that all being, but it is interesting that this place is called the Sanctuary. It's not the official name of the place, it's what they call it, as far as I know. I may be wrong on that, but I really haven't researched that all that much. It just popped in my head just now. They party at the Sanctuary. So there's nothing that would tell me that everybody at that party was with this church, but we really don't know how many people there actually were there. Some people say that there were only like 15 people. You know, there was a string of cars that the campers saw going there, but how many cars was it? How many people really was it? But it also does seem weird that, you know, there's a lot of people that question that Kiely was even at the party. There's been a lot of that. That's really, you know, other than the statement of a few people that supposedly were there. We haven't heard from that many people. You know, for one thing, there's that supposed photo of Kiely at the convenience store the night of the party, supposedly at 6:08 p.m. there's a lot of creators on here who have gone over that photo with a fine-tooth comb, and they pointed out that it's obviously been photoshopped. And there are several creators on here who have done a really, really good job of going into great detail and showing that the photos are fake. My question is, who came out with that photo? Was it the police department? Was it the news? Who actually came out with that photo? Because if it was the cops that came out with it, that is really a red flag. I mean, and that's putting it mildly. Also, one of the things that, in fact, I did this last night, I looked at every convenience store in the area, looked up all the information. I looked in the 10-mile radius, north, south, east, and west of where Kiely lived, at Lost Trail Lodge there. 10-mile radius. I looked up every one of the convenience stores. I even looked up the main stores as well. And I looked at the pictures of the interiors of those stores, and there's not one store that matches what's in the photo. Not one. As far as the floor, what's in the side of the aisles, nothing matches. I really wonder how you explain that. Kiely's hair doesn't match in the photo. It's the wrong color. It's the wrong length. She's usually wearing her chain necklace and the pendant. She's not wearing the chain necklace in the photo. There's just a lot of things that are hinky about it. Just one more thing that makes you wonder what is really going on there. And I know a lot of people don't like us looking into this and making accusations. And I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying, to me, this is a feasible theory of what's going on. And the simple fact, well, I don't know if it's fact because I don't know for sure, but what the guy says, that all these people know each other and are all members of the same church. Kind of convenient that Checkit was able to find what was supposedly Kiely's laptop and all this stuff, but do we know that for sure? Why is it that when he called the police to come get it, they were kind of like, eh? Is there maybe a reason? Did they just come out there just so they didn't look bad when they finally came out? When they finally got him out there? I don't know. To me, it just raises a lot more questions than answers. So, anyway, hope this gives you some food for thought. For me, it was a complete meal. So, yeah. I'm really hoping that the more information like this that comes out, the more pressure is going to be put on everybody to get to the truth. All righty. Catch y'all later, people. Have a good one.